We're live. Lawrence is here to answer your questions about serving aboard a nuclear submarine known as the Henry L Stimson, which was in Holyloch, Scotland. Larry still fits into his uniform. It's wool. Show me what's on your lapel there. Can you come a little closer? Wow. Looks like a submarine.
Oh, there's
Your name tag.
two of them. This is this right here shows that I was part of the crew of the Fleet Ballistic Missile Nuclear Submarine. And each little star represents the second and third patrols that I went on my submarine. And this right here is my dolphins. And you earn your dolphins. It takes about a year, roughly, to earn your dolphins. And that means that you're qualified in submarines. And I was qualified
Inside the house.
Right here. And this right here is a Armed Services Medal for during the Vietnam War era. Right there.
Okay. And let's look at the submarine. There. You want to hold that? So, Cinnamon Hot. She said, thank you for your service. Okay, you want to hold that up?
This is a picture of my submarine underway.
There's the Henry L Stimson submarine is underway. And where was this taken? Is that in the Atlantic or Scotland?
Well, this would be out in the Atlantic.
In the Atlantic. Okay. And let's see, hold it up so they can see the name. Henry L Stimson. Yeah, right there. Why does it come backwards? Wow, did you ever go up there and climb up there?
No, I never did get on there, but I stood guard over my submarine.
Okay.
I stood guard. This is a picture of. This is a picture of me on standing guard on the submarine back in I think it was 1970.
Okay.
That's me. I had my 45 pistol.
Wow. You got a gun?
I did, and if somebody was not authorized to be there, I just shoot them. All right, there we go.
I'll get it.
Let me redo this. Oop. There we go.
Okay. And was this taken before or after we met?
No, this was actually taken after we met the first time. And
Kleenex.
yeah, thank you. That picture of me standing guard was taken after I came back off of leave and got back on the submarine in Holyloch, Scotland. And then we went to sea. I went out on patrol for 3 months. And so after the 3 months was up, I came back.
Yeah, right there.
After the 3 months on patrol, I returned and I went back. And this time I met my wife at the donut shop again.
6 months later.
Yeah, about half a year later. Yeah.
Yeah, Winchell's Donut. He'd come into Winchell's Donut when I just was 17 and I'd gotten a job. I had a misfortune. I had a baby when I was 17. My son was born December 13, and I turned 18 on January 14th. So it was 14 days before we met on New Year's Day because you came into the donut shop and got a maple bar.
Well, the one thing we need to mention here is that um, this is 2021, and this was taken in 1970, and so that's actually it was 1969 when I got on the submarine. So um, this has been 50 years.
Wow.
So this picture was taken 50 years ago, and I still fit my uniform just fine. Fits like it always did.
I don't fit my wedding dress. Show me a little bit about your uniform. It's wool.
That's made out of pure wool. And this right here, this is my rank and my function on the submarine. I was a second class, the two stripes mean that you're a second class petty officer. And this right here is a picture of hydrophones, which means I was a sonar technician on board the submarine. So that's what that's about.
What is a white eagle for?
That's the US Navy, of a military actually, but the US Navy.
Huh. And on your sleeves, can you show me your sleeves?
These are the regular Navy dress blue uniform. Of course, back then, they don't use this uniform anymore. But these sleeves were special because when you go out to be on the town, you fold them down, and these are called.
Oops.
It's gone.
Yep.
You touched something.
Oh.
Did you disconnect?
No, I didn't disconnect. I just switched. Okay, if you step back, then they can see you a little bit right there.
Okay, so anyway, this is when you fold your cuffs down, you can have what's called liberty cuffs. So these are my liberty cuffs. That means you're out on the town.
Liberated.
You're liberated for a night.
Why is it a dragon?
You can. It's a personal choice. You can do what you want.
Oh.
I chose that.
Oh, what did the other people choose?
Other people had other things. This was probably one of the more popular ones.
Ah, I didn't know that. So you could choose whatever you wanted.
Well, within reason, yeah. Because that's my liberty cuffs.
Huh. And you were in Holy Loch, Scotland, and you have family there, right? Ancestors.
I have ancestors in Scotland, yes. Uh-huh.
And you are a descendant of William Wallace, Braveheart.
Yes.
And your grandfather and your brother, your brother, and your dad all have the William Wallace middle name, first name. You didn't get it, even though you really liked the fact that you're Braveheart. Tell me some of the things that you did, like when you were a sonar tech.
Okay, well, my job as a sonar technician was to both operate the sonar equipment on board the submarine, as well as repair it. So you not only fix it and calibrate it and keep it running, you also operate it. On ships, that's not true. You have a sonar technician on a ship only repairs and calibrates the sonar equipment. On a submarine, you do both functions. You not only operate it and use it, you also fix it. So I spent my time is in 6 hour, excuse me, uh, 6 hour shifts. So I would be on.
Step back a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So I'd be operating the sonar equipment for 6 hours for one shift, and then you're off for 12 hours. So your day is 18 hours long, not 24 hours. The only way you know if it's day or night is to first look at the clock and figure it out. But they did ray for red. In other words, they would turn the red lights on at nighttime after sundown, and then they turn the white lights back on at sunrise. So
where did you sleep?
I slept in the crew's quarters. I had my own bed with my own little curtains and your own air conditioning vent, your own light. It was actually pretty nice for a submarine. Of course, a nuclear submarine, the new ones, everybody had their own bed. We call them a rack. Everybody had their own rack, and it was relatively private, actually.
How about the food?
The food was excellent. It was like a short order restaurant every meal. And by the way, they made a full meal every 6 hours. Since the day is not 24 hours long anymore on the submarine, it's an 18-hour day. So they have a full meal every 6 hours.
And you get steak and lobster and.
Oh yeah, they have tons and tons of really good food, and they serve it to you when you walk in to the mess hall on the submarine. It's a big submarine. Remember, this submarine was 425 feet long. It's a big submarine. That's 1.5 football fields long.
Wow.
And inside inside was 35 feet from the top to the bottom inside. So there's 3 stories tall inside. So we're talking about a big submarine.
Keep talking, because I'm going to go get a key and a piece of string to show them something.
Oh,
Tell them when you listened in the sonar, what you heard.
okay, I'll get to that. So anyway, you go into the mess hall on the submarine where they serve the food, and you make a check mark. You put your name and put a check mark by everything that you want them to make, and you tell them how you want them to make it. Then you go sit down, and a few minutes later, they come and serve it to you, just like a restaurant. And so I actually got a little bit spoiled out there, being treated so nice. And you eat a meal like that every 6 hours. So if you want to, you could sleep for 12 hours and go back on duty again for 6 hours. So after a while, you don't want to sleep the whole time, so you do all kinds of stuff. You exercise and do all kinds of things. On the submarine, when I was operating the sonar equipment, I could listen. It had a steering wheel on the sonar equipment, so you steer what direction that you're listening to. So they've got more sophisticated in newer times. But back in 1970, the submarines still had a steering wheel on the sonar, so you turn the wheel and steer it around so you could listen in all different directions. And it was very precise. I mean, you had it down to just a fraction of 1 degree, so you could really get it exact and listen to what's ever out there. And it would show you exactly what direction you're listening to. And you could change different things in the earphones in your ears so you could hear it in different ways, and so you could better analyze what you're listening to. It was actually very sophisticated. Then just to let you know, sound travels underwater much better than it does in the air. In the air, sound travels about 1,200 feet per second. Underwater, it travels much faster than that. And the in the air, you already know that only the low rumbling sounds travel very far. So the high frequencies, the tingling high tones, after a few hundred yards, you really can't hear that high pitch stuff anymore. You just hear the low pitch.
Step back a little bit.
Must be step back.
Yeah, can't see.
All right.
How long did you stay underwater?
Every patrol was scheduled for 2 months.
2 months underneath water?
Yeah, and that 2 months is one continuous dive. In other words, at the beginning of the 2 months, we would dive and not even come up, not even once, for 2 months.
Wow.
So the longest time that I was under the water continuously without ever once coming up was 2 months and 1 week.
Wow. And I'd like to know, how far down did you go?
To a certain extent, that's classified information.
Oh,
However, I can tell you this, because my submarine is no longer in service, and that type of submarine is no longer in service, I can tell you that I personally went down to 1,455 feet.
anchors. I just had to play that. So, 2 months? Weren't you scared?
No?
And then when you dove down deeper, tell me, would the walls cave in?
Well, no, not exactly, but they do move.
No way. How thick is that steel?
The steel is roughly 1 foot thick. Is almost, in some areas, maybe a little bit less towards the bow and the stern, but the hull is essentially 1 foot thick steel.
Oh my gosh.
At its widest point.
Okay, so let's do a demonstration of what happens, what you actually did.
All right, well, what we did, I have to describe something first.
Okay.
The decks on a submarine.
Back a little bit. Yeah.
The decks on a submarine slide in and out of what's called sea joints. So here's the hull of the submarine, and there's a joint on the submarine wall, and so the deck, which is here, the deck would slide in and out as the hull would compress. So the further down you go, the more the decks would slide into the sea joints like this.
Yikes. Did it make noise?
Yeah, it did. It would make it would not move evenly. In other words, the decks are very heavy. They weigh a lot of tons of steel there. So as the pressure would build, you go, pop.
Oh my God.
Pop.
Were you scared?
Pop. No, I wasn't afraid.
Nervous?
Maybe a little bit nervous. But what was interesting to see is that the hull is slowly coming in at you.
And it's a foot thick.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Well, that's just the way it is. I mean, like I said, at the thickest point is 1 foot thick, and it does vary a little bit.
Wow.
So what we did is we would take a string, kind of like this one here, and we'd tie one side of the string to the hull. We tie the other side to a countertop in the sonar shack, and we hang it about 2 feet off the floor, roughly. And then as the submarine would go down deeper and deeper, we go, pop, pop,
Oh my God.
pop, until the key was laying on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
So that was pretty deep. So the hull does move.
Oh my
And
God.
so I remember looking at the hull, saying to myself, you know, I wonder, I just hope that the guy that made that piece of hull, that welded that thing together, didn't have a fight with his wife the night before.
What did you do to entertain yourself? Fight?
No, I mean, we had movies.
Uh-huh.
In fact, we had all the first run movies, and that were, in fact, we would get the movies before the theaters got the movies.
Wow.
So we got all the first run movies in the theaters by the hundreds. We had all the movies that were going to be released, including some that were released recently. So the whole one floor of the missile compartment had movies lined up all the way, almost the whole length of the compartment
Wow.
of first run movies. And so we would watch movies at
And play cards?
and they would play cards. I never did play cards.
What did you do?
I was an artist, so I drew pictures of all their. In fact, they would play poker. The guys would play poker day and night, and they would take each other's money. But I charged them a lot of money for drawing pictures of their wives, or drawing pictures of them, their kids, their families, in black and white and color. And so by the end of the patrol, I had all their money.
Yeah, because you were also did they have a newspaper?
Yes, they did have the ship's newspaper, and they published it once a week. And I was the ship's artist for the newspaper.
Ah,
And it was called the Stimson Draft.
the Stimson. Did you have alcohol on board?
No, no, well, yes, we did, but we couldn't drink it.
How about cigarettes?
Plenty of those.
They could smoke?
They smoked all, in fact, they smoked all they want, but you never can smell it.
Oh, really?
The air conditioning system on that submarine was really awesome.
Wow.
It would suck all the smoke up instantly,
Wow.
and it would filter it, clean it up, and put it back with oxygen and everything.
So you were telling me that once in a while your ears would pop, just absolutely pop, and you knew somebody.
Oh, yeah.
What happened when you felt your ears pop? You stepped a little bit farther back. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. The toilets on a submarine are a lot like on an RV. So they have a ball valve in the bottom of the toilet, right? And so they had a handle. You pull the handle, and the ball valve would open up like that, and everything would fall through into the septic tank down below. Then you push the handle, and it would close back up like this. So you finish. So the sanitary tanks got full about twice a day, and so they would secure the bathroom. There's more than one bathroom, but they secure the main bathroom, and they would put signs on it saying that they're going to blow the sanitary tanks. And what that means is that you can't just open a valve and the sanitary tank will empty everything out into the ocean. There's a lot of pressure out there. So what they would do is they would have to pressurize the sanitary tank a few more pounds higher than what's outside the submarine. And when that happens, then you open the valve to the outside and everything blows right out into the ocean. Well,
Look at that flock.
Oh yeah, a big flock of birds.
Invariably, somebody would just get out of bed, go to the bathroom, not pay any attention to the signs, and they'd be blowing the sanitary tank. And they do their thing, right? And all your stuff is right there in the toilet bowl. You grab the handle and give it a pull, and all that stuff from the tank and that was in the bowl was right in your face at high speed.
Oh my gosh. Did you ever do that?
No, I didn't, but there's some other people that did it. One guy did it to himself twice in the same day. So we gave him a special
Award.
gift.
What did you give him?
I probably shouldn't tell you. But anyway,
Okay. A
they
poopy award.
they gave him an award for doing that to himself. And then of course he had to get down in there and clean it all out of the ceiling
Oh my
and take
god.
Lysol. And, oh, it was a mess.
Ugh, ugh.
But the sudden pressure change when you pull the handle and the septic tank blows all that air in there, that's what made everybody's ears pop.
Felix.
So it didn't matter where you were on the submarine, everybody's ears would pop at the same time. So we knew that somebody just did it to themselves in the bathroom.
That's crazy. I understand your captain hated. What was popular in the 60s and the 70s was the peace sign, right?
Yeah, peace symbols were a big deal back then. And so everybody on the submarine was making peace symbols. And the
Drawing
captain,
them and
the commanding officer did not like that. And so, long story short, is that the steward who took care of the officers, he drew a peace symbol on the bottom of all of their coffee cups. So when the captain picked up his coffee cup to take a drink, everybody picks up their coffee cup at the same time, and they all tip it up. And he saw the peace symbols on the bottom of all of his officers' cups.
Oh my.
So anyway, nonetheless, the steward was court-martialed.
What?
Well, they threatened to court-martial him.
Oh my.
But so the captain said, "No more peace symbols. The next person I see with a peace symbol, I'm going to court-martial you." And so, but the crew would not stand for that. So what they did.
A little bit back. Yeah.
So what they did is everybody was making peace symbols out of rubber erasers, and then taking ink and stamping peace symbols on everything, all over the whole submarine.
Oh my goodness.
And so, of course, nobody got caught. Nobody knew who did it. So, and nobody would admit to it either. So the captain finally broke down and he couldn't take it anymore. He said, all right, I give up. And so the cooks cooked him a peace symbol out of bread this big around.
You got a picture of that?
I have a photograph of that.
Yeah.
It was a huge bread peace symbol, and they presented it to him.
I wonder if he still has it.
So after that, it was no big deal after that then, right? So everybody was no big deal about the peace symbols, but the captain didn't court-martial anybody then. But he did give that steward a reprimand, as far as I know.
You were telling me that you were listening, you could hear ships in New York Harbor.
Oh, yeah, most people don't realize how far that sound travels underwater. It travels faster and better and very clearly underwater. But the ocean is also, the ocean is actually in layers. There's layers of ocean, and the different layers can be moving in different directions.
Like rivers.
Yeah, it's rivers of water under the water. So they one layer can be going to the east, and another layer can be going north to south.
What do they call that?
Layers.
Layers?
Yeah. And so the different layers in the ocean. And
wow.
so...
and they're different temps, too.
That's usually, but yeah, they're different temperatures.
And is there the different sailing?
Different salt content, yeah, it does vary. So there's a lot of variables there. But anyway, the top, maybe 2 layers of the ocean, usually like just the top there, will actually, it's called ducting. The sound will carry through the duct for a long distance.
No, Otis, no.
So when we would be coming out of Scotland, we would submerge, and when we submerge like that, then we could hear what's inside the duct, and we could actually once or twice we were actually able to hear ships, cargo ships, which are noisy, coming out of New York Harbor from Scotland. So the sound travels very far through a duct. So just amazing. So people don't know that they can travel. Uh, the sound can travel thousands of miles under the water. Okay.
And then you said you heard a ship screw in New York Harbor.
I just talked
Oh, you
about
just
that.
said that. Okay. I remember you had a little puppy dash hound that said California.
Yeah, my mom and dad gave that to me.
Were you lonely?
Not really. That was you have a crew of 140 men, so you're not too lonely with 140 guys.
Did you miss me?
I didn't know you.
You met me at Winchell's. You saw
I,
me
I,
for 2 seconds. Anyway, that was funny. So that was when did you go into the Navy?
I, I was going to college out of high school, and the Vietnam War was on, and so they had the draft back then. The government had the draft, and so can I have a Kleenex, please?
Yeah, that was kind of scary because a lot of guys were getting killed in Vietnam.
Yeah, a lot of my friends were going to Vietnam, and I was very concerned that some of them didn't come back. So anyway, my dad said about until I had a draft number and I would have been drafted. So my dad was a retired naval officer. My dad was a retired naval officer, and he told me, he said, "Son, if you go down and join the Navy, the worst thing you'll get is cold sandwiches." I said, "Wow, that sounds pretty good. That sounds a lot better than K rations." So I did. I went down. I joined the Navy, and they were training me to be to go on board an aircraft carrier.
Oh.
We called them bird farms. And so my dad said, "Son, I have a recommendation. Get yourself a Navy A1 school, and that way you'll be rated like I'm rated a second class sonar technician. You'll get a rating, and so you'll have a lot better duty in the Navy." So I went down to the Navy and I said, "Do you have any Navy A1 schools?" They said, "We're sorry, we don't have any schools. They've all been taken." Well, except for one, and nobody wants it. I said, "Well, what's that?" Well, they said submarine sonar technician. I go, wow.
And you've loved radios since you were 4 years old.
I mean, that was I watched the Silent Service, which was a Navy series on TV, and so I loved the submarine service. And so when they said I could be a sonar technician on a submarine, I said, "Sign me up."
So where did you have to go?
Well, they sent me up to San Francisco to go to the submarine boot camp, and then also I went to submarine school, and I was trained at that time in 1968, 69. The diesel boat submarines were still operating, so they trained me to be on a diesel submarine. And so then I went to the A1 school, which was sonar school in Key West, Florida. And that's when I learned to love Florida. I mean, Key West, Florida was awesome. So I spent half a year there in sonar school, learning submarine sonar. And then it came time to give me my orders. So my orders were to go to Groton, Connecticut, at the submarine base there, and I was given orders to go onto the Henry L Stimson SSBN, which is a fleet ballistic missile nuclear submarine. So I was trained for diesel submarines, but they put me on a nuclear submarine. So I had to learn everything all over again. So I
Show
learned.
them a picture of this again.
Show a picture of it again. All right. So I learned both. I learned how to live on both a diesel submarine and a nuclear submarine.
A little higher, right here.
Yeah, that's my submarine, right there.
655.
Yep.
SS. What does SSBN stand for?
SS, it stands for submarine ship,
Uh-huh.
or SS. Although they do apply that to surface ships. Also, the BN is ballistic and the N is nuclear.
Oh, wow. Did you have nuclear bombs attached?
Yes, yes, we did.
Oh, my gosh.
We had behind the sail. Give me the picture of that.
Okay. There were nuclear bombs there?
Yes. If you look, I don't know if you see it or not. If you look behind the sail, right there, there's 8 missile hatches. 8 on one side and then 8 on the other side. Right there.
Wow.
And so there's 16 missiles. And so this was a Polaris A3 missile submarine. And so we had, each missile was a Polaris missile, and it had 3 independently deliverable nuclear bombs. So that you take the 16 times 3, which is 48 bombs, nuclear bombs, that you could deliver and wipe out 48 different cities.
Wow.
From one submarine.
And now we have the threat right now of China and Russia threatening to bomb Hawaii.
I don't want to, let's not go there.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
But anyway, that's my history. That's from, like I said, it's from 50 years ago. Some things have changed, but not everything. There's a lot. Submarine service is still a very honorable and very high-tech way to put your service time in. And it takes a special kind of person. You can't get claustrophobia. That's one thing. You can't, and you have to be able to be in the immediate up close presence of 140 other men for months on end. And so you have to really be able to get along with other people.
And did anybody freak out?
My entire time there, we only had one person who actually had a problem. And they brought him up to the sonar shack where I was, and they would put headphones on him and let him listen around, and he'd hear the dolphins and the ships and other submarines, and he'd hear what's going on outside for great distances. And so that made him feel good.
Wow. So he didn't need to be taken?
No, that helped him, and so then he was all right.
Step back a little bit. Now, can you visit your submarine nowadays?
My submarine was decommissioned in 1993 and was towed to Bremerton, Washington, and it was cut up into little pieces.
Oh, so now they're making cars and razor blades out of it.
Yeah. My submarine has probably been in the form of automobiles for many years now.
Oh, that's something else. And we've gone to Key West quite a few times and drove past that naval area. And we like Key West. We've been going there, for 35 years, twice a year. because Motorola, you worked for Motorola, and they would fly you there to Fort Lauderdale. So we always got cheap tickets and a good way to be able to travel. So, and then after you got out of the Navy, what did you do? You served, still continued serving the Navy.
Yeah. When you go off active duty, in order to complete your 6 years, you have what's called reserve time. And so once a month, I would spend the weekend at a naval facility, and we would go out to sea on. I would go out to sea on various submarines. So I got to uh, go out and go up and down on diesel boats and fast attack submarines as well.
You were telling me that you would hear the whales and the whale. There was one whale that was in love with you, wasn't it?
Yeah, when we were out there, there was a whale that followed us for 2 weeks. He thought we were really something. They have their whales have their own sonar. They grind their jaw. They have their jaw kind of like that, and it makes a sharp sound. And the sound travels out, and they can tell how far away something is and how big it is and where it's moving. So their eyesight is very bad, but their sonar is actually very good.
Wow.
Whale sonar.
Well, and then you served in after duty. You had Weekend Warrior. For how long was that?
Well, right until the end of my service.
And then, yeah, so that was a couple years. You would go after we got married. You went to college, and then you said they had to give you some psychological tests and also your test your smartness, IQ tests and stuff like that.
The Navy did that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, back then.
You have to be able to serve on a submarine, and you have to know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so you can't be a slouch.
No.
Yeah. And then because of his service, we were able to buy our first house in San Diego, back when we live in Oregon now. And it was a veterans loan, and it was 0% down and low interest. So that's how we ended up getting our first house down in San Diego for $52,000. Now it's worth a lot more. Of course, prices have gone crazy. Well, thank you for your talk. Does anybody have any questions? We can do this again another time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And then this is a tribute to my fellow submarines. That's a submarine song. Anyway, thank you for your service, Larry. And without our men being willing to sacrifice for our country, America wouldn't be what it is. And today we want to celebrate Independence Day. 1776 was the first. July 1776, July 4th was Independence Day. And we've celebrated that every year, except for the last 2 years. We haven't had any fireworks displays or anything. And that's really sad for us because we have a beautiful view. Let's see, you want to show the view here? Yeah.
Well
we have
done,
a beautiful
sir.
view. Beautiful view. And
these are the original shoes.
Oh yeah, let me see your shoes. Show them your original shoes.
Let's put it down.
Let's see. Those are his original shoes?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yep. This uniform is complete.
Okay, turn around. Let me see. Wow. Senora Sailor. By the way, I never saw him in a sailor outfit. Did I? Except for when you did the Weekend Warrior.
Yeah, I'm gonna go down to the Navy.
Yeah, yeah. And your dad was a retired lieutenant in the Navy?
My dad was lieutenant, officer. Yes, naval officer, lieutenant.
Okay. Thank you for your service. God bless you.
We're
And
proud
thank you.
of you too.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Did you see the picture?
Picture.
Photo. No video. Do you have a picture of me?
Oh, yeah.
You need to take a picture.
Okay.
No, I'm not gonna do this very often.
Yeah. He doesn't like wool. Wool is not his cup of tea.
Me neither.
Stand there and so I can take your picture. Perfect. Now, wait. Salute. Awesome. Thank you. All right.
You know I couldn't go in the military.
Thank you guys for coming.
Fell on a
And-
pop bottle at the gas station. And
I hope you enjoyed this. And I thank my husband for his service and for all he's done and for the wonderful life he's given me. So God bless you.
Done
Oops.
by our intense heat.
Yeah, we had intense heat. Anyway, God bless you all and God bless America.